Do you want to improve your English and learn history at the same time? In this video, we explore the life of Adolf Hitler, his rise to power, and his impact on the world. This video is designed to help you enhance your vocabulary, pronunciation, and comprehension skills while learning about one of the most controversial figures in history. Whether you're a student, a history enthusiast, or someone eager to improve their English fluency, this video has something valuable for you. Don't miss the chance to expand your knowledge and boost your English. Biography of Adolf Hitler. Chapter 1. Early Life. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, Austria-Hungary, near the German border. He was the fourth of 6 children, but only 2 of his siblings survived into adulthood. His father, Alois Hitler, was a strict and authoritarian man, and his mother, Clara, was kind and loving. Adolf had a difficult relationship with his father, who often beat him. His early years were filled with family struggles and school problems. Hitler was not a good student. He had a passion for art and dreamed of becoming a painter, but he struggled with academics, especially in subjects that didn't interest him. He moved to Vienna after his father passed away in 1903, hoping to attend art school. However, he was rejected twice by the Academy of Fine Arts, which led to a period of hardship. He lived in poverty, surviving by doing odd jobs and selling postcards. During this time in Vienna, Hitler developed many of his ideas about race, nationalism, and the importance of a strong Germany. He became interested in politics and the idea of creating a powerful German state. These early experiences would shape his views and influence his actions later in life. His time in Vienna was difficult, but it played a key role in his rise to power. Chapter 2. The First World War. In 1913, Adolf Hitler moved to Munich, Germany, where he later enlisted in the German army at the start of World War I in 1914. He was eager to fight for Germany, even though he was an Austrian citizen. Hitler served as a soldier on the Western Front and was injured twice during the war. His time in the military, particularly during the brutal trench warfare, shaped his views on leadership, nationalism, and his hatred for the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler's experiences in World War I deeply affected him. He felt that Germany had been betrayed and humiliated by the peace treaty after the war. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, placed harsh penalties on Germany and left many Germans angry and resentful. Hitler saw the treaty as an injustice, and he used this feeling of humiliation to fuel his political career. After the war, Hitler returned to Munich, where he became involved in politics. He joined the German Workers' Party, which would later become the Nazi Party. Hitler's sense of nationalism grew stronger, and he started to believe that Germany needed a strong leader who would restore its former glory. His experiences in World War I played a major role in shaping his ambitions and his vision for Germany's future. Chapter 3. Joining the Nazi Party. In 1919, Hitler joined the German Workers' Party, which was a small nationalist group. Over time, he became one of the party's most influential members. He was a talented speaker and used his skills to rally people with his passionate speeches. Hitler believed that Germany needed to be united under one strong government, and he started to gain support for his ideas. In 1920, the party changed its name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazi Party. Hitler became the party's main spokesperson and started to organize rallies and campaigns to spread his message. His speeches focused on the idea of a strong, racially pure Germany. He blamed the Jews, communists, and other groups for Germany's problems, including its defeat in World War I. In 1923, Hitler attempted to take over the government in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. He and his followers marched through Munich, hoping to overthrow the government. However, the coup failed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison. During his time in prison, he wrote his book Mein Kampf, where he outlined his views on race, nationalism, and his plans for Germany's future. This book would become the foundation of Nazi ideology. Chapter 4. Rise to Power. After being released from prison in 1924, Hitler worked hard to rebuild the Nazi Party. He focused on gaining support from the German people, especially during a time of economic hardship. Germany was suffering from the Great Depression, and many people were looking for a leader who could solve their problems. Hitler promised to restore Germany's economy, military, and national pride. The Nazi Party slowly gained popularity throughout the late 1920s and early 1930s. Hitler's speeches inspired many Germans who felt betrayed by their government. They were attracted to his promise of rebuilding Germany and making it strong again. By 1932, the Nazi Party had become the largest political party in the Reichstag, the German parliament. In January 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Despite not having an absolute majority, he was able to form a coalition government. Once in power, Hitler moved quickly to consolidate his control. He passed laws that gave him dictatorial powers, allowing him to rule without opposition. The Reichstag fire in February 1933, which was blamed on communists, helped Hitler gain even more control over Germany's political system. Chapter 5. Establishing a dictatorship. Once Hitler became chancellor, he began to dismantle Germany's democratic institutions. He used the Reichstag fire to push through the Reichstag fire decree, which limited civil liberties and allowed the government to arrest political opponents. In March 1933, the Enabling Act was passed, which gave Hitler the power to make laws without the Reichstag's approval, effectively making him a dictator. Hitler used his new powers to eliminate any political opposition. He banned other political parties, silenced the press, and began persecuting Jews and other minority groups. The Nazis created a totalitarian state where Hitler had control over all aspects of life. The government used propaganda, violence, and fear to maintain control over the population. The Nazi regime also established the Gestapo, a secret police force that monitored and punished anyone who opposed the government. Hitler's rise to absolute power was marked by violent repression and a complete disregard for democratic principles. He surrounded himself with loyal followers, including Heinrich Himmler, Joseph Goebbels, and other top Nazi officials, who helped him maintain control. Chapter 6. The Expansion of Nazi Germany. Once Hitler had secured his position in Germany, he began to focus on expanding the country's territory. He believed that Germany needed Lebensraum, living space, for its growing population. To achieve this, he planned to conquer neighboring countries and create an empire dominated by Germany. In 1936, Hitler sent German troops into the Rhineland, a region that had been demilitarized by the Treaty of Versailles. This was a major step toward expanding German influence. In 1938, Hitler annexed Austria in what is known as the Anschluss, and soon after, he turned his attention to Czechoslovakia. He demanded the Sudetenland, a region with a large ethnic German population, be handed over to Germany. Western countries, including Britain and France, attempted to avoid war by following a policy of appeasement, allowing Hitler to take control of the Sudetenland in exchange for a promise of peace. However, Hitler's ambitions did not stop there. In 1939, he invaded Poland, starting World War II. This invasion prompted Britain and France to declare war on Germany. The war quickly spread across Europe, as Hitler's forces captured more countries, including France, Denmark, Norway, and the Netherlands. His vision of a greater Germany began to take shape, but it also led to widespread destruction and suffering. Chapter 7, World War II and the Holocaust. World War II, which began in 1939, was the result of Hitler's aggressive expansionist policies. Hitler's forces quickly conquered much of Europe, but his invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 proved to be a major mistake. The harsh Russian winter and strong Soviet resistance caused the German army to suffer heavy losses. Meanwhile, the Allies, including the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union, began to fight back. During the war, Hitler's regime carried out one of the most horrific genocides in history, the Holocaust. The Nazis targeted Jews, Roma, disabled individuals, political opponents, and other minority groups, systematically killing millions in concentration camps. The Holocaust is one of the darkest chapters of human history, and it remains a powerful reminder of the dangers of hate and intolerance. Hitler's war effort started to collapse by 1944. The Allies invaded Normandy in June 1944, and Soviet forces pushed from the east. Hitler's forces were gradually defeated on all fronts. By 1945, Germany was surrounded and Hitler was in his bunker in Berlin. As the Allies closed in, Hitler realized that defeat was inevitable. Chapter 8, The Final Days. As Germany was losing the war, Hitler became more isolated and irrational. He refused to leave Berlin, even as Soviet forces advanced towards the city. In April 1945, with Berlin surrounded, Hitler married Eva Braun, his longtime companion, in a small ceremony. However, their happiness was short-lived, as Hitler's empire was on the brink of collapse. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker. Eva Braun also took her own life with him. Their bodies were later discovered by their staff and fellow officers. Hitler's death marked the end of Nazi rule in Germany, but the devastation he caused during his time in power left deep scars on the world. After his death, Germany surrendered to the Allies in May 1945, officially ending World War II in Europe. The aftermath of the war saw the world struggle to rebuild and come to terms with the horrors of the Holocaust. Hitler's legacy is one of violence, hatred, and the destruction of millions of lives. Chapter 9, The Aftermath and Legacy. Adolf Hitler's actions during his time in power left a lasting impact on the world. The devastation caused by World War II and the Holocaust led to the loss of millions of lives. In the years following the war, many Nazi officials were tried for war crimes at the Nuremberg trials. Hitler, as the architect of the war and the genocide, became a symbol of evil and tyranny. Germany was divided into East and West after the war, and the consequences of Hitler's actions continued to affect the country for many years. The world learned valuable lessons from the war, and steps were taken to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. International organizations like the United Nations were established to promote peace and prevent future conflicts. Hitler's legacy remains one of hate, cruelty, and destruction. He is remembered as one of history's greatest villains, responsible for the suffering of millions. His rise to power and the destruction caused by his regime serve as a warning to the world about the dangers of totalitarianism, racism, and unchecked power. Chapter 10, The Lessons of History. Adolf Hitler's life and actions serve as a reminder of the dangers of extremist ideologies, prejudice, and the abuse of power. His rise to power was built on promises of restoring Germany's greatness, but his actions led to war, genocide, and suffering on an unimaginable scale. The Holocaust, in which millions of Jews and others were killed, stands as one of the most horrifying chapters in human history. The story of Hitler teaches us about the dangers of unchecked hate, the importance of protecting human rights, and the need for vigilance against authoritarianism. It reminds us of the value of democracy, peace, and respect for all people, regardless of their race, religion, or background. The world must continue to learn from the past to prevent such atrocities from occurring again. While Hitler's legacy is one of darkness, the lessons of history are clear. We must remember the past and work to create a future based on understanding, tolerance, and peace. The horrors of World War II and the Holocaust are tragedies that must never be forgotten, and we must ensure that they are never repeated.